the 40 minutes tonight. We've played at stretches this year, but I thought we battled and kind of came close to holding our own inside on the boards. We wanted to play a little bit tighter. They did come out in the second half, hit those 2 threes, so we adjusted a little bit there and got back out. But, we have to make shots. And, in the second half, I thought we got good shots. I thought Buddy and Joe and Elijah got the shots that we are going to have to make. In the overtime, they got those same shots and they made them. And, when you make those shots, that's for us to win. We have to make those shots. Marek made a big play in the overtime to get Elijah that shot, and then when he made that shot, Buddy got one and Joe got one, and things just fell into place. But we won the game just because we battled them inside. We got enough. I mean, they scored in there, but we got enough in there that we could stay in the game or stay a little bit ahead. They're inside and it's a battle, and you're trying to get, it's just crazy. A couple of them, I didn't think were that, it's a physical game, and all of a sudden we got 6 fouls right away, and, they got 2. So, it was, as long as it's both ways, I don't care if they call them, it's going to be both ways. But, they were smart. They did it. Marek was great. He hung in there. He's got his hands up, played position. He's a smart, tough player. He got banged up about 4 times out there today, and he just gets back up and goes back in. Joe's a competitor. He's a competitive kid. He's got a big heart. You don't win state championships. I don't care who you're playing against unless you've got a big heart. You're the only guy out there making plays for the whole game. He's got a big heart. He's going to come after you. He's going to make some mistakes, but he's going to come after you.
Jim, what did you think of Quincy and Jesse Edwards today?
Well, I'm going to be nice here and just say they were out there.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those 2 unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it. The universal handle for the socials is @Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia. We are the only Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a voice. Rate, review, and subscribe, whatever platform you listen on. We really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who has already done so. All right, so there is some other news today besides the game, the glorious, glorious win over Virginia. So Syracuse football made a couple hires over the weekend as well, both coming yesterday, I think. Yeah. So Zach Arnett, Syracuse football, hired him as the defense coordinator from, what was it, San Diego State?
San Diego State, yeah.
And he had some pretty good defenses at San Diego State too. So no slouch really. And I think, let's see, they finished second in rushing defense. This is nationally 7th. Well, let's see. San Diego State ranked in the top 10 nationally in 7 categories last season. So rushing defense, scoring defense, first downs allowed, 6th in total offense. I mean, 6th in passing efficiency, and 8th in turnovers gained.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's really good when you look at the stats, and when you looked at it, they had a story, Syracuse.com, earlier in the week that San Diego State head coach Rocky Long, he had retired, and he had come to visit Syracuse, and you wonder if he was trying to get his own job or if he was trying to sell that defense and sell that coordinator. But either way, that Arnett's got some, like you said, the numbers at San Diego State was great, and they bring in that different 3-3-5 scheme in which we know that, I mean, in the past, we've kind of gone to Tampa 2, right? But we do like to get the nickel in there. We started a lot of nickel corners. We wanted to get some of the secondary in for that spread offense, but we've had difficulties kind of stopping the run. And it kind of makes sense when you look at our makeup of our team, because a 3-3-5, most of the time, one of those outside linebackers is coming up and becoming a defensive end anyway, and it's usually looking like a 4-2 with just a linebacker there. And based upon our personnel, you've seen that it's been difficult for us to get those defensive linemen compared to those linebackers that are tweeners. So I think we've seen a lot of the linebackers that have gone back and forth between playing outside linebacker and defensive end. So that kind of gives us a versatility. So hopefully it'll be a welcoming change.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You see what he did at a place like San Diego State. Those are nationally. Those rankings were national. So a hell of a defense.
I think they said something like the most points scored on them this year was like 20 by Utah State or something like that. So, yeah.
Well, and also the other one is Sterling Gilbert as offensive coordinator and QB coach, and he's already worked with Dino, I believe, at where was it?
Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, Eastern Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a couple stops. I think that he didn't follow us here because I think he had a chance to become a head coach. I think McNeese State is where he's coming from. So he was a head. So he's leaving a head coaching job to come into the ACC and be that offensive coordinator and help his old buddy out. So
yeah, pretty cool. So couple things to look forward to as football season just never seems to wind down. There's always something going on. So it's crazy. All right. The Orange bent but didn't break in Charlottesville against number 18 Virginia. They brought home a much-needed win, and Syracuse will stay home for the first of 2 home games. The first one here against BC, and we'll let you know what we think about all of that. But first, as always, I got to tell you about the good folks over at MyBookie. Now remember, if you know what you're getting into and you have bet with sportsbooks before, if you have not tried out MyBookie, I recommend you go there and try it out. If you're not sure what it's about, go ahead, research it, see if it's right for you. If not, if you find yourself wondering, they have a customer service team. They can walk you through the process. They can let you know, answer any of your questions and let you know how it works and what's going on. And if you join right now, you can get your deposit doubled if you use the promo code CHAIR when you create that account. Get matched dollar for dollar to jumpstart that bankroll. Just log on to mybookie.ag today. Make your first deposit with the promo code CHAIR, CHAIR, and MyBookie will double your deposit dollar for dollar up to $1,000. So, 1,001. There's nothing I can do for you. So. Sorry. All right, mybookie.ag. Thank you, MyBookie. You play, you win, you get paid. All right, so Joe.
Yes, sir.
What a game. Oh,
yeah.
20 points in the extra session for the Orange in overtime, and Syracuse gets their first meaningful win of the season, the first quad win of the season for the Orange. A 12-0 run by Virginia was an all too familiar feeling as we watch a 7-point lead disappear. It seems like it only took like 2 minutes, but I think it probably took longer than that. But the disappointment started to set in for me. I don't know about everybody else. It's just we've been there so many times. And we could talk about the painful to watch offense of both teams, and we will. But I think we could talk about the 3 threes from the big 3. I mean, that was the highlight of the game, right?
Yeah.
The successive 3-point shots from Hughes, Girard, and Buddy, and then a luck shot from Buddy, which was just like, that was it for me. I mean, it's like that was it. It was like the one time we finally get some luck. It was awesome. So the good, the bad, the ugly. The good. Okay, lots of good to go around. 20 points in 5 minutes after 43 points in 40 minutes. Now, if you were to tell me that was possible and that SU would do it against Virginia, I would have thought you were just a complete fool.
Yeah.
It was just basically, I mean, the threes were just draining in overtime. It was awesome. Joe Girard with a game high 19 points. Buddy with the shot clock bank. We talked about that. Hughes made up for 6 turnovers with 18 points. And, he's just got to do a little bit better job taking care of the ball, but maybe trying to do some too much sometimes. And you know what? We were out rebounded last game by 19 against UVA in the first game of the season. This time, just 3, 47-44. I'll take that. Take that. The bad, this was really hard. I actually had to think about this. Normally, I have these lined up after the game ends, but we could talk about the offenses, but I'll leave something more general for the ugly. I guess it would be UVA dropping 2 games in a row. That was the only thing that worried me coming into this game, being at UVA and they just lost. And you figure, are they going to lose 2 in a row? I mean, that's really tough. So UVA dropping 2 in a row and likely going to be dropping out of the top 25. So bad for UVA. But the ugly, 22.6%. That's the percentage that the Cavaliers shot from 3-point range. So 7 of 31. And I mean, we knew they were bad, but damn. I mean... Jeez.
Yeah.
And, the strategy was to let them shoot it.
Yep.
They were wide open.
Yeah.
So
that was basically what it is, was make them one-dimensional. We knew that their big guys were going to score, but we tried to limit that as much as possible. And like we talked about in the preview, close that rebounding gap. And that really was the story when you look at it. This game, the offenses, like you said, were so just – points were hard to come by. So when Virginia turned around and got the 2 threes real quick, I mean, no one was really going to score enough to run away with the game. So all it took was a little run here, a little run there, and the momentum in the game shifted. And then you saw that throughout the whole game. So that's why, again, when you said like 20 points in 5 minutes in overtime, that's more points than we scored all of the second half. So that was definitely unexpected. I'm glad that Virginia didn't shoot better, because all it took probably 1 more 3, right?
I mean, it could have been. We were stuck at 35, by the way, when that 12-0 run ended up being 35-30, and we ended up getting caught back up with a 3 from Girard, tied it back up, 35-35. It stayed at 35-35 for like 4.5 minutes.
Yeah,
and it was just at that point I was just so confused. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I was so nervous. But
yeah, I mean, I know that when you look back at our predictions, it might not look that bad. It might look a little close, but realistically, you take away that overtime, and it's not even coming close. The way that game started, I was watching it with my father, and I told him, I said, "Well, first 1 to 40 wins." That's where I was at that point. So. Again, Virginia's defense would do that to you, and all the props in the world to Tony Bennett. And I know that they're lacking offensive firepower, but God, they play defense every year, every game. Like, it's going to be a tough out, even if they can't shoot. But
what about Syracuse's growth, though? We've talked about their growth, but this is the first really good look, honestly, from the first game to this game, because we played them. It was our worst game that we played of the season against UVA. UVA has not made any strides, I don't think, to becoming a better offensively or defensively. Right. They're pretty much right there, right where they were. I don't think they've improved much. So that just goes to show you, honestly, how much Syracuse has improved. And we knew that playing teams like Virginia Tech right before coming and going to play in UVA, probably good. Playing those aggressive man defenses and then playing UVA. They've seen UVA already. They knew what to expect. They knew they suck at 3-point shots, so they left them open. They were clogged in the middle a little bit more. They did pretty good down low. I think they got outscored pretty well in the paint, but that's the only place that UVA's points came from, though. So it's a hard comparison.
Yeah, well, I can paint this as a positive, and I can also play devil's advocate. So I think I'll do both.
Sure.
Right. So the positive, again, like you said, with the growth of the team, them showing maturity to be able to follow a game plan. And also it's a positive towards the head coaches, because a lot of times, especially when you have a lot of turnover, which nowadays in college basketball you do every year, it's hard to – sometimes it's good for us because it's hard sometimes for newer players on other teams to kind of get used to our 2-3 zone. But it's harder for our coaches as well to game plan against these other teams, right? So being able to see that they've already played Virginia and they've seen Virginia and they know what's up, and they obviously had a clear plan. They had a clear plan of what they were going to do. And I mean, we followed it really, really well. There's a couple times where they got a little undisciplined and they made some wrong rotations, some wrong plays and stuff like that as far as on defense. But they fought hard in there, and they played that to perfection. If with those two big guys, if Virginia just had one good 3-point shooter, like legit 3-point shooter, like one of the ones we have, then that game would have been tough. But based upon the matchup and based upon the weaknesses of Virginia, I thought that the game plan was perfect and executed I don't want to say flawlessly, but for a young team, pretty well, especially on the road. Throw that on there. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's really the positive for me. But again, the devil's advocate is, I think that we can do that with. Let's put it this way: Virginia's one of probably the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country. So
yeah,
we're not going to be able to do that to everybody. So as good as our defense looked good, I mean, that's a lot. That has a lot to do with how bad Virginia's offense is.
They came into this game shooting them just around 26% from three. They shot 22% against us. So I mean, you were about right there. Now, everybody, I think, it silenced the Fire Boeheim haters. You know what else I noticed real quick? I wasn't even going to mention this, but I'm going to now. The people, seriously though, the people who always have something snarky or nasty or vulgar to say in a loss don't say during a win like this. They just stay quiet.
Yep.
It's like, are you even a fan? Wonder. Are you even a fan? Seriously, like, do you just root against Syracuse to lose? Does it make you feel good to watch your quote unquote team do bad just so you can look right? It's so aggravating. It is so aggravating.
Yes.
So, anyway, it's just something I noticed after the game. There's people I usually hear from during these losses. They didn't have anything to say.
Hey, there's some that do though, right? What was it, Bubba?
Bubba's cool.
He goes back and forth.
Yes, yeah, he's all over the place. When he's really down, he's down. When he's up, he's up.
But he doesn't just disappear, right?
No, he doesn't.
He's always got something that's, he voices
Jermaine
his opinion.
Jermaine, too, on Facebook. Jermaine's another one on Facebook. He's in all the groups and everything, and he can give it to him. He gives him the business all the time, but he'll admit when he's wrong.
And give them props when they win, right?
Sure. So absolutely, yeah. So, but there's a handful of people who just refuse to do it. So whatever.
Yeah.
I just find it extremely irritating. That's all. So anyway, well, with that said, let's see what Cuse Militia had to say.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do. Go to the socials at the end of every game. I will propose the question, thoughts on the game, and you leave your thoughts there, and it's like magic. I go through them. I pick some out. Forgive me for I can only get to so many, and finally, and we knew it was the games. We knew it was either the games we were playing or it's because we were losing. But finally, a good win and a ton of fan feedback, and many of you made some great points, but try to mix it up here. Try to mix it up. So, let's see. Chris on Facebook, not a top fan, but I'm sure he will be soon. Chris, with a signature win, now let's use that momentum and win the next several games. That Buddy 3, though. Look, I think the next handful of games, maybe 5 of them, going into Duke, I think are all winnable games. And do you have them pulled up, Joe?
What's that?
The game. I think I might have them.
The schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're home against Boston College, and then at Virginia Tech, at Notre Dame, home against Pitt, at Clemson.
Okay, so I was wrong. It's not the first of 2 home games. It's 1 home game, and then off to Virginia Tech. So I'm gonna correct myself there. I said that in the beginning. That's my bad. So yeah, we've already played Virginia Tech. That was a close one. Notre Dame. That was a close one. Pitt's Pitt. And
that's
Clemson,
rivalry. We know what that's about.
Yeah, and then Clemson, they're up or down too, depending on the day. So, I mean, those are all winnable games, though. So, before
they all look like cardiac Cuse games to me.
Exactly. Before we go into face Duke. So, yeah, the Buddy 3, it was beautiful. What a thing of beauty, man. And I just love the reaction from the team after that. I thought it was great.
Yep.
Let's see. James on Facebook. Much needed win. Have 5 winnable games coming up. Better make them count. Exactly. So, we just talked about it.
Yeah, well, not to put any pressure on us and our season, especially being 9-7, as you normally wouldn't say that, but yeah, we talk about the easy schedule and how we were going to be able to navigate through it. Well, this was part of that schedule. I feel like we looked at and said, okay, there's a bunch of wins because after and there's a lot of people that are down, right? But we still have the games against, the Dukes and
this is not
Louisville's and Florida States and
Louisville, Florida State.
NC State hasn't been easy for us.
I think UNC's a winnable game. We'll see when the time comes, but I think
that has not proven to be easy ever. So
exactly, I know. I'm just saying right now. I mean, they're not exactly lighting things up. And this is not to say I'm definitely not riding this momentum as Syracuse has turned the corner. This is it. I pumped the brakes on that, but I mean, we saw how the last two games went before UVA, and we could have it could have been 3 in a row.
No, it's all about getting better, getting healthy, getting some of these younger guys more playing time, getting them in the ACC and stuff. It's nice to see Edwards and some of those guys out there.
Zach on Facebook, top fan. That's a boy, Zach. That's what I'm talking about. Rain or shine, this guy bleeds orange. Great day for football and basketball. We have the ability to win any game, just have to close when it counts. And look, it's the matchup. And we see that it's with UVA. Just take Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. We just went over those games, so take those games. The matchups are totally different. Defense is totally different. Teams react totally different to that, and when you get a lot more open looks against a team like Notre Dame, and so you just gotta. They have to be able to adjust. Right. Not every team's going to be one or the other. So I think
that's part of college basketball, right?
Yeah.
Is adjusting to the speed when you're younger, adjusting to the refs every single game because every ref, sadly, is referee. Every game's refereed a little bit different,
right?
And then it's getting changing to your defense and how you play to the team. So that's just part of basketball. And when you have such young guys, you're going to see that get better and better. So, like I said, we've all seen improvement. If anybody said that we haven't, last Saturday was proof, right? From week 1 to now. That was
absolutely.
There's your growth.
Yeah. Daryl on Facebook, top fan. Daryl, you're the man. We appreciate it. That was one hell of a road victory. All you can hope for is that really builds the confidence up in these young players one game at a time. Win our next game, and we're back to 500 in conference play, although still an uphill battle. Go Cuse. Yeah, it's an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle all year, I fear. I just think that we have to make the most out of what we get this year. So anything they can improve on is going to be good.
Right.
Because I don't know where the expectations lie still. There's still, there's a mathematical shot at the tournament, but I'm not going to hang my hat on any of that.
Everybody's going to have their own opinion on that. So, but exactly. Me and Joe were talking about it, and Joe Pasick were talking about it, and we were saying, hey, but, let's just say that they did actually get into bubble talk, did get into a bubble team from this point on. If you tell me now, that means that we're in for one hell of a ride. So,
yeah, in UVA, there was a tweet by Donna DeToda. Is that her name? How do you say her last name?
Yeah.
From DeToda from Syracuse.com.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She had a tweet that said, basically UVA sits at a 74 in the net right now, and 75, anything above that will knock them out of a quad 1 win.
Right.
Well, you and I talked about this, and obviously, it's not going to be worse than a quad 2 win. So they may pick up some big wins here and there and stay in the quad 1 win, but there's nothing we can really do about that. So we're just going to control our own destiny.
Obviously,
so
once we get close, we just got to win. We can't worry about quadrants because we're not in a situation right now too. Right. And sadly, quad 1 and quad 2 games are few and far between in the ACC this year, and that's just the sad reality of it. So that makes
Boston College is going to be a quad 3 game.
Right. So we have to more or less, yes, exactly. We have to worry about these type of games. We have to worry about not losing the quad 3 games.
Right. And that's why we're going to preface in the preview what quad we're sitting in. So, well, we can't lose this one, or, okay, here's a shot to build on something.
Right.
Because that's basically where we're at
Yeah.
Right. So
well, right now we're at the point where we just need W's.
right, we got it right. Exactly. You got to build the resume, and right now the UVA was a good start, but it's one. We need.
Well, I mean, when you look back at the resume, I mean, there are some teams that Georgetown, they're getting some wins, but they're losing a little bit. Oklahoma State's kind of falling off a little bit, but there's some other teams
Penn
out
State's
there
doing good.
Penn State and Iowa, they're right there. I'd hope to think that Virginia doesn't fall off to the point where that's a bad loss at home, but we did get the redemption away for 2-1 on the road in the ACC. We haven't really had a bad loss, so there are some positive things going for us, and our strength of schedule is going to be high considering that we went from 18 to 20 conference games and our 9-conference schedule this year. So we have some positives. The only thing we're lacking are W's. So
yeah, but like you said, no bad losses yet, and we'll go from there. One game at a time. That's the motto, the creed, the credo here.
That's especially this year.
Yeah. Dominic, not a top fan, but I'm going to read this anyway. Team victory. Great effort against a team that is coached very, very well. Oh, yeah, man. Who doesn't love Tony Bennett? For real. For real. I mean, who doesn't?
He's a hard guy to hate, man.
I know. It's like hating Dabo Sweeney. Like, how could you hate that guy?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm mad the whole game watching it. I'm like, this defense will not get off of these people. But, like, at the end of the day, he's a good coach. You got to respect him from where he's brought Virginia from where they were. So.
Yeah, awesome. And, we'd take him in a heartbeat if Boeheim retired. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, at Cuse Waterboy on Twitter, huge win, first signature win of the season for the Orange, and as ugly as a game as it was, in overtime was riveting as we buried UVA with a 3-ball barrage, and finally a totally improbable shot goes our way with that total prayer by Buddy. Let's go Orange.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, in a nutshell, it was ugly until overtime, and then threes were falling. And, threes were falling for Virginia. They hit a couple of threes. They hit back-to-back threes to cut into that 7-point lead and eventually take it by 5. That was their first lead of the game when they did that. And that's when I was like, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? 12-0 run, and they're just going to let it slip. And you could just see it in the players' faces. They looked bewildered. So it scared the hell out of me.
Well, they stepped up when they needed to. I was impressed with the way that Sidibe and Dolgai, not how they got to 4 fouls, but how they played once they got them.
Yeah, they did a good job.
There's still some silly fouls out there, and I thought that there was some bad missed over the back calls, but I think that eventually the calls evened themselves out. So, I liked the way that those guys fought down there because those two guys aren't that bad, and I know that. Kirk Cousins didn't get a chance to say it this weekend, but you like that?
You like that?
That's what I was thinking when Buddy Boeheim hit that. It was just.
I know. There's a great picture of him. It's a cover photo.
Kind of like shrugging.
He's like this with his palms up, like I don't know. It's a cover.
Number 3. It was the number 3 play on SportsCenter Top 10 too.
Oh, was it really? No kidding. And I don't think I put it in the montage either, but Coach was asked about Buddy specifically. What do you tell him when he goes, what was it, 0 for 10 or 1 for 11 or something like that?
And you're missing that bad, yeah.
Yeah, when you're missing that bad, what do you tell him? And Coach said to tell him to keep shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually he's going to make them.
Right.
And
and we talked about that, right? And he even mentioned it in his, he's like, I know that a lot of people are going to say that because he's my son that I'm playing him, and he's like, no, he's the best shooter. He's like one of the best shooters in the ACC. Look at the stats. So, again, and even like he said, he also talked about the depth too. If we had other players to go in, but again, this is our offense. He's going to give Merrick a little bit of freedom to maybe bring the ball up, start a fast break if he gets a rebound or a steal, do a couple little things without trying to get out of control. Shoot open jumpers, things like that. Mark's going to have to do that. But other than that, this is going to be a season of Buddy and Elijah and Joe Girard just hucking and just going. And they all have the green light. And that's what it is for all three of them. It's keep shooting. It doesn't matter because we don't have any other options or depth.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's it. And teams are going to.
But the best part about it is that they're not one-on-one players. They're move without the ball, come off picks,
totally.
jump shooting type of players, right? So it's a completely different type of offense that we saw last year when it was Tyus or Frank or somebody just dribbling it down and going one-on-one. So
yeah, assists were a little low again. Well, they weren't terrible.
They're going to be against Virginia.
Yeah, I know, but they weren't terrible, though, especially coming off of a game where we had, I think, 4. So, 20-11.
I think it was 6, but yeah.
Was it 6 against Virginia Tech? 11 assists on 20 buckets. That's not terrible. So, especially against a team like Virginia.
Yeah.
At K Nabby Waniak on Twitter. I will gladly eat crow for doubting Buddy after 2 subpar games. What a finish for him. Anyway, we can get Jay Huff and his calls to come to Cuse as a grad transfer. I mean, when was the last grad transfer group we had, Joe? Andrew White and Gillen?
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
It's been a little while. Yeah.
He's kind of a stud, Jay Huff.
Against us, we make a lot of big men look like studs.
That's true. But
we have
16 points. He had a double-double, 16 points and 10 rebounds.
We have played some good ones, so I'm not going to poo-poo on those guys. But
yeah, but they did a good job. They did a good job with those guys. Even Diakite held him to 13 points, 8 rebounds, and Braxton Key only 7 points. So, maybe his wrist bothering him. I don't know, whatever. But it doesn't matter.
It's a non-shooting wrist, so
yeah, that's true. It was his left hand, right?
Yep.
At DFin01, a combination of good defense, patience, luck, and Virginia's bad offense got the win. Yeah, exactly. That's it right there. Coach Jim Boeheim made some good adjustments throughout as well. Well, that's it. I mean, it took a little bit of luck and a couple of things to go our way, and it took UVA just not stepping up, which was almost predictable, actually. Yeah. So, at Biggest Cuse Fan on Twitter, I thought Boeheim showed why he has won over 1,000 games. Apparently, the game hasn't, quote-unquote, passed him by, like more than a few have said on here.
Well.
What? He worked those refs. He worked those refs, and it changed the game. That and the first 3 shots in overtime won it for Cuse. So he did work the refs. He worked the hell out.
No, the confidence too of playing over 40 minutes and then going and still being able to hit those shots against that defense. And he did work the refs. So yeah, Boeheim's he's good for that. He knows the game. I mean, that's what good. You don't stick around as long as he has if you don't know how to work the refs.
No, it was legit gripes too with some of that. I mean,
no, well, yeah, of course. But again, then there was some ticky-tack pitter-patter stuff afterwards that got called on us that, like I said, it evens itself out. So it worked. That helped. We got into overtime. Our guys got hot. And that's really the one thing when you play against Virginia. I mean, again, they do have some weaknesses, but this is just a perfect example of, Jim Boeheim knowing his opponent, knowing their weaknesses, and carrying out a game plan, and his players carrying that game plan out to be able to do what they needed to do to win that game. Because if you don't make specific, very, very specific changes, and he doesn't do, there's not a lot of teams that are just going to let anybody just shoot open threes. And we were just letting them shoot. I knew Key Clark was going to hit a couple, but he literally just said, "Go ahead. I don't care." Not every team's going to do that. So he did what he had to do for his team to win that game.
They were passing him up, UVA.
Right. Yeah.
They were like, no, you take it. Yeah. So
anyway, didn't even want to shoot.
Anyway, all right. We thank you guys for going to Twitter and Facebook, and I thought about doing that on Instagram. I don't know. Is that a thing? You leave comments and stuff? Is there enough people on there? Well, maybe we'll try it.
On the gram?
On the line? On the So I don't do the Instagram thing that well. I know there's some weird things that you can do with it, like post into your story and all this. I don't know how to do any of that. So anyways, I just post pictures, whatever, memes or whatever I come up with. Sorry. Anyway, and Joe's absolutely zero help with that. Absolutely zero help. But thanks.
Because I know less than you.
I know. I know, that says a lot. So thanks to everybody who's going there and leaving those comments. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate taking the time to do it. So thank you. All right, the 9-7, 3-2 in the ACC Golden Eagles from Boston. They'll be coming down to the Dome this Wednesday. The game is set to tip off at 6 o'clock on the ACC network. The all-time series sits at 49-26 in favor of the Orange. Syracuse and Boston College have met 51 times while they were in the Big East together. Syracuse owns that matchup as well at 34-17. And just for fun, they met 8 times in the Big East tournament, and the Orange lead that as well. The record there was 5-3. So there you go.
6:30, by the way.
6:30. Didn't I say 6:30?
I thought you said 6, but
did I? I thought I said 6:30.
It's a random time for a Wednesday, ain't it?
Yeah, it is a little weird. It's a half hour earlier than normal, right?
It's good for my bedtime. I'm cool with it, but
right, 6:30, 8:30. I'm laying in bed. Definitely. BC does have a signature win over Virginia as well. In fact, they did a number on Virginia before we did. So, the other ACC wins were over Notre Dame and Wake Forest. But they did most recently just lose one, 71-52 at home against Georgia Tech. There's 2 guys leading every major category of this team, and they both averaged 30.1 minutes a game, ironically. 6'3", 195-pound senior guard Derek Thornton leads the team in points per game with 13.3 and assists per game with 3.6. 6 foot, 8 inch, 220-pound junior forward Stefan Mitchell, he leads in rebounds per game with 8.8, steals per game with 2.4, and blocks per game with 1.2. Now, just as a side note, senior forward Nick Popovich, he has missed a bunch of games here. I think he's missed like 7 games due to back spasms. He did not play against Georgia Tech, and at 6'11", he's exactly the kind of guy. 6'11", what is he, 250 something? He's the kind of guy that gives us headaches. He has given us headaches in the past. And, I wish him well as soon as this game's over. Boston College is 151 in the net rankings. That makes this a quad game 3 at home for Syracuse. And just a side note here, Syracuse has moved up in the net from 90 to 84.
Yep.
Take it away, Joe.
Okay, so Nick Popovich, I don't know. I don't want to come out and say that he's had back surgery, but he's out indefinitely. I don't foresee him playing. So
the rest of the year?
I don't want to say rest of the year, but I'm more worried about just Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to play.
That's why.
Just another note.
Go ahead.
The Derek Thornton, that senior guard, he hasn't played the last 2 games. So, interesting backstory with him. He started his career, he went to Duke, and he started some games, and he had some people close to him and certain people that didn't think he was being used right, so he ended up transferring to USC. And he had to sit out a year, then went to USC, and then he still didn't think he was being used right, wasn't playing that much, so he ended up transferring for his graduate senior year to Boston College. So, and just to make it come full circle, the ankle injury that he has been sitting out and missing the last 2 games, he sustained against Duke.
Oof.
At Duke. So a little full circle story about him with him. So I haven't heard anything yet about whether or not he's going to play or not. But looking at this team, they beat Virginia at home without him or Nick Popovich. So you don't really know what to really think, but from everything that I've seen this year and read about Boston College, they're a young athletic team, play really good defense, and not necessarily the greatest shooting team. So they're kind of like Virginia, just not as good at defense. And I don't know what happened with Virginia's defense that day, but getting that win, they lost by almost 40 against Duke. So. And they got beat up pretty good against Georgia Tech on Saturday. So
yeah, almost 20. It was 19 or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah. So looking at the box score of their game and kind of who played and minutes wise and how it was spread out, it really looked like they only really went 6 deep. And a lot of them are freshmen, man. They're not a very deep team. Missing Popovich and missing Thornton. They're running 3 freshmen as far as in the starting lineup, and then I believe it's a sophomore and a junior. Now the biggest problem that we're going to have is Mitchell, like you mentioned. He's all over the place. Stephon Mitchell, he's their tallest guy. He's actually been playing center at 6'8". So there's going to be one thing that we got to look at, right? But he's stout and he's very just sneaky. He gets in there. He's really been an annoyance every time we've played them. Every time we played him, it's like he gets his hand on this. He gets in there, gets a block here, gets the rebounds. So he's definitely going to be somebody to watch out for. He's probably going to be the best chance of anybody doubling against us in this game because he's just a tough guy. Plays through injury and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's leading that team in quite a bit. He doesn't score a lot though.
No, he doesn't score a lot, but he can score enough, and he can step up. As far as the other guys, 6'7" forward C.J. Felder, he's one of the freshmen that started the last game. Julian Rishwain is a freshman guard alongside Jay Heath, who's the other freshman guard, and he's actually, if you look at the past 2 games, he is the leading. He is the main guy when it comes down to that. So. They just shot 16.7% from the 3-point line against Georgia Tech.
At home.
And I think that they can go on runs and make some here and there. But I think for the most part, Boston College's story this year has basically been effort. They've beaten some teams that they shouldn't have, maybe because they took them lightly one way or another, and then they've lost some games that they shouldn't have. So they're right there with us, I believe, right at 9-7. They just have a better record in the ACC. But when you look at the net rankings and when you look at KenPom, you start looking at the analytics and stuff. Boston College right now, they're 154th in the net ranking. When you look at KenPom, they're 159th. So, it's not like we have a really good, but we're 60th in KenPom. We're 84 in net rankings, in the net rankings. So statistically and analytically wise, we're ahead of them. I think it's according to KenPom, Boston College's offense is like ranked 288th or something like that. So really, the one thing is still staying aggressive because they're short doesn't mean they're not going to be able to out rebound you because they have some tough guys in there.
We've already seen.
We already knew that, right? Yeah. And so there are going to be some guards that are going to give some of our guys problems as well. But the one thing that Boston College is really, really good at is forcing turnovers and steals. They rank pretty much top 30, top 25 in the nation in that. So that's what we're looking at. It's basically a Virginia Tech without the 3-point shooting. So it's still like, again, it kind of the story changes a little bit if Derek Thornton plays. But I haven't heard anything as of whether or not he's going to. But if I remember from Duke, he could hit an open shot, and he was very, very good as far as defense. That's why he did start some games as a true freshman at Duke. So that's kind of where we're looking at it. So
we have some unknowns. Right? We doubt Popovich is going to play, but he could.
I doubt Popovich plays.
But
I doubt it. I think Thornton's
a possibility. Yeah, but Thornton's got a possibility, but we're probably not going to know. We might know by Tuesday, maybe something will come out. But I was checking on Braxton Key in for the UVA game with his wrist, and that didn't come out until the day before. So, and you saw he had.
And I believe the other guys that play too. I believe Jared Hamilton and Jarius Hamilton. I believe they're brothers. One's a senior, one's a sophomore. Jared, the senior guard, I think he transferred in graduate seniors from Georgia Southern to come to play, and he saw the opportunity to get some playing time. So, those are the 6 that are going to play if Derek Thornton doesn't. I don't know how. I don't see them as an explosive offensive team. So it's really going to be the story is how do they defend us? How do they defend us, and how
do we respond to it? Basically.
Then again, it's always the rebounds.
Yeah.
And then it's because they're good at forcing turnovers and steals. That's the other question. Do we limit our turnovers, keep that rebounding gap close? We should be fine.
Hughes has had trouble turning the ball over the past few games. He makes up for that, but just if he could not do that, would be great.
Well,
he gets about 4 or 5 a game. About 4 or 5 a game. He had 6 last game.
Well, this is it, right? So when we go on a little bit of a scoring slump, who does everyone rely on to get them out of it? To get the points, right?
It starts that ISO ball stuff again. Yeah, when we're struggling.
And sometimes he's trying to do too much. A lot of those turnovers is he's trying to dribble into the lane, into maybe multiple defenders, trying to get a kick out or a pass to get an open. He's trying to help his team. And
absolutely,
sometimes against the really good defenders, you get stuck in the air. You just get in situations where those type of ugly things happen. But again, more times than not, he makes up for it. So
he does. But just if he could not do it, period, would be even better. Just
if we had 0 turnovers, it'd be great, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But realistically, the guy that's got you look at the turnovers on our team. Elijah had 6, Joe Girard had 3. Why? Because the ball was in their hands 75% of the time.
Yeah.
So
and not terrible. Last game just wasn't that terrible, really. I mean,
no, it wasn't. So again, I mean, being a home game and those little factors that we talked about, that's just really, unless we go just ice cold and they get a rando that comes off the bench and hits 6 threes, then we're going to be okay.
I have my rando picked for the scouting report and prediction post that will be going up. We'll put it up Tuesday with Joe G's 3 points and the prediction. Your prediction not that far off.
I wasn't counting on overtime, but
true. But yeah, well, it's still not terrible. All right. So, anyways, look for that. That'll be coming out Tuesday. Probably Tuesday evening, I think. We'll have it put together. So I enjoy putting them together. People seem to people click on them at least. I know it's getting clicked on. I know that.
Right.
So anyway, if share it up, we'd appreciate it. So anyway, that's all I got, Joe. That's all I got. Let's wrap it up.
Me too.
Thanks to MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag right now. Use the promo code chair, getting matched dollar for dollar. I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank all of you participating in fan feedback for the UVA game. And thanks, Armchair Media. Thanks to James on guitar. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.